everyone, it's Annette Green here. It is week 45 of 2025, and every week I do a craft or craft related video, and I am super behind. Well, I'm 3 weeks behind in my memory keeping planner. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to make 3 pages. We're going to get caught up, and I'm going to be really happy. Okay, so this is where I left off, week 41 here. So I have to do 42, and then we will jump to 43, 44. Over there. So let me get this out and I'll show you what I have started. I got Loose Plan. It is fall here in South Carolina, big time. We're having a beautiful fall. So a couple weeks ago, it wasn't as great as it is now, but I did take some pictures. So that's what I'm going to do on this page. So what I have ready is some things from my brand new release, Romantic Revival. And one of the things, and I'm going to use this as a photo frame, is my new Postage Arches and Keys set. Looks like this. A couple of nested arches, keys, lockets, and the big postage frames. So I thought just to be different, we'll use a little arch for a photo mat this time. And from my Everyday Big Words, which is a brand new set as well, I'm going to link everything below like I always do. Everyday Big Words. I'm going to use the word fabulous for our fall that we're having lately. And then I have some borders cut out over here. This border strip is from my border paper in the Romantic Revival paper collection. So I think I want to put that across the bottom. This cute little heart lacy border is from a new set as well. One of my favorites. I feel like I'm going to this one all the time. And that is the Lace Heart and Doily set. So I've picked 2 different ones in here that I want to use. The other one is this one right here. And I've cut it out of my paper from one of the border papers. So I've got some blues and greens. I've got that yellow background already. And I'm going to play around with borders, border ideas. And you see I have this other one here. This is just like nice dark green cardstock. And I will use that on something else. But because I did this one out of the blue that matches the top one, I went ahead and cut out one in green, and I saved all the little hearts over here in my little magnetic tray. This is something new from the Glassboard Studio, which is my glass mat I'm using here. And this has a magnet on the bottom. So it's a great little catch tray for all those little bits. And I've got these green hearts that I popped out of this one that I'm going to pop back into this one. So we pull together all that green and blue. That doesn't feel super fall-like yet. The photo will make that happen. But I am going to use these little leaf dies from my Build a Bouquet set, which has 3 different styles of these little leaves. And I was kind of envisioning, I've got them up there on my magnet, on my thing there. I was envisioning doing sort of a trailing vine of these, but in fall colors. So I don't have any paper in my new paper collection that has oranges and yellows and greens. So I'm going to make my own. So I grabbed a little sheet of Bristol here. It can be anything really, just something that you can do a little bit of wet media on. And I'm just going to make this into a piece of paper the color that I want. So I have grabbed some fall colors here. These are just regular distress inks. And I got my daubers ready. And I got some water, and I think I'll put some magnets on here. These are also from the Glassboard Studio. I will link to the Glassboard Studio Shopify discount up above. You get 15% off when you use my code, so that's kind of nice. I do think those are going to get in the way at the bottom, so we'll just kind of hold that up there, and I will start with my darkest color, Crackling Campfire, and just blend some colors on here. Rando. I know the whole camera, the table, everything's shaking when I do this. Sorry. Okay, that's kind of deep orangey red, which is perfect. And then this is Spiced Marmalade. Also orange, but more yellowy orange. And we're going to spritz this and make this look really cool. I don't think that I'm going to need the yellow, so I'm going to go to, what is this, Wild Honey. Just kind of work that in here and there. You can put it over top, of course. And I don't have to get all the way out to the edges because I'm going to die cut stuff out of here. I think I want a little more red in there, don't you think? Let's do a little more crackling campfire. Oh, yeah. There we go. Because I have this one picture in my photos on my phone that has a leaf in my hand. It has a lot of red and yellow and orange. Okay, and I went ahead and hit those corners as well. All right, so now I'm going to just kind of dribble. If you squeeze slowly on your little distress sprayer, instead of then you get big droplets. If I sprayed it, it would put a fine mist and put little dots. So you can see it's sort of reacting. It's going to do some cool things. You could tip it and let it run and all that stuff. You could add a lot of water if you wanted. That makes it look kind of interesting as well. And so I'm going to let this dry. I can hit it with the heat tool and then we'll see how that looks. Before I dry it, you may be tempted to take a paper towel. I was just cleaning the table. And press, but if you do that, you're going to get a completely lifted area and you're going to see white, and I don't really want that. Okay, that looks pretty cool. See, it still does lift away where you put the water, and that's pretty cool, but there's something I want to do. I really need to get a splatter box because I'm just laying all this paper everywhere to protect my table and other stuff on my table. So what I have done, see it over here? A little bit of cadmium red deep hue paint, and I want to get that down more liquidy so I can splatter it. This is a little bit pink, so I'm going to take a little raw sienna and add to that. See if that helps make it a little deeper and less pinky and more brownish red. And of course we'll have to add more water to make it splatter. Okay. Quite liquidy. All right, flicky, flick, flick. Yeah, see, it goes everywhere. But if I can get it to happen and stay, I'm liking how it's looking here. So, you know, if you don't have paper that you like, that works for what you have in mind, you can make your own. It doesn't have to be a big, huge sheet. See how it's going everywhere? I really need a splatter box, big time. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, that was awesome. I just went like this and then the brush hit right there. It happens. I'll just avoid that spot. And believe me, I know I could just go get a cardboard box, but would you believe I have no empty cardboard boxes right now? Hard to believe. We crush them down as soon as we get them and we take them to the recycle. All right, I'm going to give this a chance to dry, and then I'm going to die cut my stuff and show it to you. Okay, I'm tickled. I like that. You see it? So I didn't ink these yet. I inked this one with a little brown around the outside edge. I think that looks fabulous. Looks pretty good on my page here. So I am going to ink all those little guys. And I just wanted to show you, I didn't want to bore you with this. I went ahead and put my borders on here and I popped those little hearts back in. A quick and easy way to do that is to use like a little jewel picker. This is the Marvy jewel picker. It has these little grippy things on the end. I squeeze a little glue in the openings where the hearts pop in, and then you just pick them up with that and pop them in place. So that's what I did, and I think it looks pretty great with the blue and the green. It's looking a little earthy. And so now I will ink those little guys and get my photo cut out. I think it's going to be too much to use this as a photo mat, maybe just way too much of this, you know, treatment. So we'll decide on a photo mat color in just a second. And I hope you agree. I think that little bit of red splatter really made kind of a nice little difference. And speaking of the red splatter, see, there's my photo of my leaf right there with the red splatter. So I did 2 small photos, 1.5 inch squares, and I put them on that paper. I'm going to use that as one unit. And then I decided on the same blue. This is the back of this cut apart page in my Romantic Revival paper collection, which is the same blue that I used here and here. And I thought, okay, I used the next size down arch to cut out the photo, and I was just going to put it on there. But you see how it sort of blends in and it needs a little bit of separation. So I picked sort of a golden yellow, and you know, that's not a size die, right? This one has stitches, this one has stitches, and the other two bigger ones have stitches. But as you can see, this one does not have stitches. That is this die. And what I did is I cut right inside of the stitches after I die cut the same size. Hope that makes sense. And so I'm just going to ink the edges here. And I just feel like that separates that blue sky from that blue arch a little bit better. And inking these edges, you know, it wasn't perfect about cutting that out. I took my time, but I think by inking the edges, that helps that a lot. Okay, and because I cut inside the stitches, then we can still see the stitches in the blue. You may not see that, but I can see it. And so I think that really helped that a lot. And let me cut this out now, and we'll get this on here. I just have a couple things laying there still. I haven't really committed to where they're going to go, but I did have to cut out my number 42 for week 42. And of course, that's from my classic alphabet. I still have this to play with if I want, and I have a couple extra leaves off to the side I didn't use because I think I'm just going to use those 4. But I will ink this because I've inked everything else. Okay, I made a little tiny label. Just says first hike of the season down there. That is from one of these little labels right here from my picture frames and mats. And I just kind of backed it with a little more of that blue. I've got my 42 down there. I made sure my photos were kind of off to the right a little bit, and I'm just getting these leaves trailing down the left side. That's why I push the photos to the right to kind of balance out all this fun falling leaf action here. So while I'm finishing up this page, and we have 2 more to go, I will say that I have big news. I have great news for 2026. I sort of alluded to it once in a different video, and some of you caught it, some of you may not have. I said you will see more planner pages in the new year, and that is because I am now going to be coming out with a new line for Elizabeth Craft Designs called Everyday Memories. My line was Everyday Elements, and I'm now, it's hard to talk and do this at the same time, but I had these 2 extra leaves, so I think I'm going to put them down here. And so Everyday Elements will sort of dissolve within the company, and Everyday Memories will take on the feel, my style of Everyday Elements, but in more of a memory keeping kind of way. So Esther Glass, who was always doing the Planner Essentials, is no longer going to be with Elizabeth Craft Designs after her December release. And I have the honor of taking that role on moving forward. So that's big, big, big news. We've got all kinds of great things coming. I've designed all the dies, the stamps. Something very brand new is coming. We have new binders coming. All right, so that is the first page, week 42. We're going to do 43 and 44 next. I'm not going to put whole reinforcements here because I have them on this other side, and I feel like I don't want to take away from what's the balance that's going on here. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, for week 43, we are going to, because now we're in the new month, we're going to flip this over. This is the November dashboard, and this is what I'll be working on. And this particular week was when we were in Banff, Alberta, Canada, at the Creative Retreat. Now, I'm going to do it on 1 page. And that's going to be hard because I can only pick like maybe 1 or 2 main photos for this because you really don't have the real estate for it. But if you remember from a previous video, I made this little Banff album out of this big XL passport square TN from Elizabeth Craft Designs. I got it started, and so I'm going to put many, many photos in here, memorabilia, receipts, you know, all kinds of fun stuff, stickers. That's what this one's going to be for. So this is just going to be a single page highlight of Banff. Okay, let me tell you, that was so hard. To pick a photo, it was really, really hard because as I flipped through, I just was like, oh, you know, and I got teary-eyed and everything. So it's very, very hard. But it gives me comfort to know that I'm going to have the mini album to put in every photo so I don't leave any out. But I was looking for a photo of the entire team So Angelica, Yosette, Els, Liz, David, and myself. And this was the only photo. This was the last night. We were having a little snack at the end of the retreat get together, and all the seats were taken, of course, by the students. So we were all sitting on the floor having a little picnic. So that was the only picture I had with everybody. And then, of course, I had to get a picture of the classroom and all our wonderful students. And then a teeny tiny picture of Paul and I, if I can fit it in. And you might wonder, well, how do you know what size to make your photos? And if you've watched me long enough, you know I generally have some sort of a plan ahead of time, and I want to use this postage frame for the main picture of the team here. And look at how the golden colors are going to work great with this background paper. That is also from the Postage Arches and Keys set, the arches I just used. So I wanted to frame this out with that. So that's how I got the size for that one. And then, you know, there was all this ceiling in this picture. And so I thought, well, we don't need all that. I just want to make this as big as I can. And so I had about 4 inches to work with there. And then this one, I'm just guessing. Like I said, it could be bigger maybe. It may not make the cut at all. We'll see, because I want to do just a little bit of journaling on this one. All right, to start this one off, I've die cut this strip. This is another one of those lace trim dies. And this year I designed them, all my little borders, so they fit the perfect length, height of a planner page. So that's super nice. And I picked this paper here that has, it's one of my papers. It has the lace trim on the other side. And I picked it so that it matched my little tab pretty much over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on that straight edge right there, and this will all get cut away on this side. So I will do that after I get it on the page, so I can use that to line up just right. Okay, just a little something I want to share. Like this looks good, fits in there nicely. However, if you want to take it kind of one step further and make it look extra good on the page, that's where I would put another mat behind the photo. And I'm going to use this same paper that I used over here. This is that lace kind of trim paper I was talking about. So I'll cut a little photo mat around this real quick. And so to me, I feel like that little halo of a mat around there, just that slight little bit, makes all the difference, really pulls all those colors together. All right, here's how we're looking. Looks pretty good. I think I'm going to make this into a little pocket and put my journaling in there. But I still wanted to include this little photo of Paul and I, and it's just so teeny tiny. And I got to thinking, well, I could do a little postage stamp frame just to kind of mimic this. So I went to my older original postage stamps die, and I picked this teeny tiny little guy here, and then I had to resize the photo just a little bit, just kind of cropped it a little differently. And I think I'm going to put that up there. And that looks good. And then I want to put Banff here, but my classic alphabet is just a little bit too big. And I love this one, the alphabet tabs. These are from Esther. I'm going to spell out Banff. They're just a little smaller. They're very skinny, so they're perfect for these little spaces. So I'm going to cut that out of that same blue, or maybe we'll pick a contrasting color, and I'll get Banff down here. All right, and just to demonstrate that it doesn't always go how you like it, I thought that this would be cute to use the leftover, you know, orangey stuff that we made earlier, this stuff, and then actually put them back onto the tabs and put them behind the photo, and it looks great, but it doesn't allow me room for my photo of Paul and I, and it puts a big gap here. So I recut them. I can save that for my little album if I want. It's not a total loss. But I recut them in just that darker, deep orangey red color. And I'm not going to use the tabs, and I'm going to run it sideways down the page. All right, so what I've settled on here is I cut out Banff just from those red letters, and I used this little die from my tag variety pack. Let's get that over here. I believe it's that piece right there. And while I have that out, I'm going to make some tags to go in my little pocket there, but I'm going to test this out and make sure that Banff fits here nicely and stands out well, and I think it's going to be great. It's definitely wide enough, maybe extra wide, which is okay. So I'll center that better, and then I can tuck that kind of underneath and have that popping out like that. And instead of centering that, I'm going to put the number 3 because it is the third, or it was the third annual Banff Retreat. So that fills that out a little bit better. I'll get those on there nice and tight. Okay. At the last second, I decided to go with a little bigger size. I felt like that was a little too crowded. So there is this piece in the die set as well. So I'll just save that for something else. But I think that's going to work out a little bit nicer. So ink those edges. We'll take a look at that. We definitely had room, so I wasn't worried about that. And this will go underneath here. I really like the way that turned out. So I hope you agree. Okay, before I stick anything down, we know the given is this one because it has to line up with my little tab over here, and we know it's going to be a pocket. So we're just going to put that glue on those 3 sides. Not too much, just enough to get the job done. And get that right up close, lined up. And check that to make sure it's straight. Looks good. So we'll give that a little bit of time to dry. If you were worried about it being too flat, you could take something and kind of stick it in there to bow it out just a teeny tiny bit. I think it's going to be fine though for my tags. But if you had something thick, you can always do that while the glue is drying, and that will help that not be so flat and tight. Okay, now I can get this on here with this underneath and this here. And you notice, I know there's some glare here. Sorry about that. So there's an area in this photo where it's all carpet. You know, this carpet here, right there. And then there's an area in this photo where there's people and a big table with nobody at it or anything on it. So take advantage of those little places when you are overlapping or using smaller photos to work into your layout. I think that can go way up there very nicely. Okay, I got so caught up in what I was doing, I forgot to turn the camera back on. So I made 2 cute little tags with my journaling on them, and I put the 43 over here, and those will go in my pockets. Those are both from that tag variety pack, which is probably one of my favorites and most versatile dies that I have. And then I thought it was done, and then I got to looking at it thinking, doesn't feel completely done to me. I feel like we have some open places. Not that you have to fill them, but I feel like they needed a little something. So I grabbed a stamp set of mine in my new release. It's called Postcard Parts. Has all these great elements that I will show you. And so I want to put approved right there. I kind of popped up this other half with foam tape just to equal the level of this photo. But this is how this stamp set looks, which you cannot see at all. Let's do this maybe. There we go. So all this wonderful postage stuff. So I stamped the airmail one, the approved one, and first class because our team was first class. We got along so great. We were laughing all the time, having fun, getting the job done, working very hard. It was really teamwork at its finest, I'll say. Okay, so I think I just want to sneak that maybe up there. Do you see how, or we could put it over here? I kind of like it over there now that I see it. My eye naturally wants to go like this. So I think I'll put it over there. And we'll just kind of have it come off the edge, and we'll chop that extra off, which is something I always like to do. Get it over there a little more. And take these out for a quick sec while we trim this off. I have to be a little careful because I got my November right there. And it's very thick right there. I'll get a smaller scissor. Actually, in this situation, I should really use a craft knife. Getting so close to that edge like that. Okay. So let's ink that. Finish that off. Put our cute little tags in here. And you know, this kind of coordinates with the other page we just did. Let's see. Yeah, looks pretty good. So we have one more to go. And I'll give you a little trigger warning. It's going to be about me having stitches put in my face. So I'm not a big fan of when people post pictures of their wounds or whatever on Facebook. So if you don't want to see a picture like that, I'm just going to tell you right now, there is one picture of a very close-up of the side of my face with my stitches in it. You may want to opt out right now. All right, for the third page, because it's going to be facing this one, I like to alternate in my weekly planner with a photo pocket page. So I'm going to use this one that has two big squares to it. I'll link to this, of course. And I want to just use the pocket page fillers 2 die to cut the 2 photo mats that will go here. I do believe this is still available. I will link it. It does have some other options here. This circle being one of them. I've never used the circle, and I'm wondering, should I? Let's do that. All right, well, I'm glad I decided on the circle. So I die cut the big circle, I die cut the big square, and I die cut the square again, and then I just cut another square a little smaller. So we're gonna have this kind of look, top and bottom, kind of coordinates. And then there is one more circle that is a little smaller than that circle, and that's where I'm going to use my photo. There it is. Lovely. So I just made sure when I was sizing my photo in Photoshop Elements that the width was exactly the same width that I needed for this die, and I think this is going to work just fine. I'm going to lay that right about there and die cut that out. Okay, when I die cut photos, I try to run it through twice. It almost gets through. I think you just have to give it a little bit of help to break that, especially on my photo paper. Isn't that lovely? So that is going to go there. Pretty. I've got my 44 for week 44. This is from the Tag Variety Pack as well. I'm kind of using those same colors because I know it's going to be opposing the other page. So I have that layered and ready to go, and it kind of matches my skin a little bit. So I don't know if it's going to, I was going to put it up there, but I feel like now that I see the wound, or maybe I have to put it there. We'll figure that out, but I do have the 44 to put on there. And so down here, I went ahead and made up my journaling on the computer because I wanted to talk a lot about the Mohs procedure that I had done, and it's just too much to write all that very small. So I just go ahead and figure out, the sizing that I need, and I type everything up, and this is right from the brochure they give you after or right before you have the surgery. It tells you all about the procedure and why it's a good one to have, especially if you have these little roots in your cancer like I did, in your basal cell carcinoma. I had little roots in mine, and they saw the biopsy, so that's why they had to go a little deeper. So the Mohs procedure, if you've never heard of that, it's kind of interesting because you go to the surgeon and he does first scraping. And of course you're all numbed up, you don't feel anything. But then you go out in the waiting room and you wait for like an hour, and they can look at it. Like, the surgeon is also the pathologist, so he looks at it immediately after it's processed, and he can come right out and tell you, we didn't get it, or we got it. And if they say we didn't get it, then you got to go have another scraping a little bit deeper. So that was my case. So I was there quite a bit of the day last Monday. It was completely pleasant, to be honest. The surgeon was very skilled, very nice. The staff was wonderful. They were very efficient. Everything just went really great. And I go back tomorrow to get the stitches out. Okay. So you saw me trimming that out. It's all one unit, which is very nice. I sized it in Photoshop. This is their business card, so I remember the name of the doctor. And I can even still read the phone number if I ever have to look them up again. Hopefully I won't. So that's pretty much ready to go. I'm not going to do anything more to that. This is going to need my 44 on here, so I just have to decide, is that all that I need to add here? And where do I want my 44? So if this is down here, does that help us at all? I was going to put it up there, but I feel like maybe maybe down there. If you're having trouble like I am trying to figure out where this is supposed to go or what place is best, you can grab the opposing page always and take a look and see. For some reason I want to put it there. Okay, now that I have this all done, I think this looks a little plain, so I'm going to stamp some photo corners, like a little bit of a decorative corner here. And this comes from one of my new stamp sets, Playing Card Collage. Okay, I had to hold my breath to do that because I didn't use a stamp platform, but I think that turned out pretty good. Sorry. Okay, so I think we can get this into the planner. Photo pocket pages are great because they're simple. You can make them simple and they still look really nice with just a few things like that. This is a very simple page for me and I'm okay with that. So that one goes there. 43 over here in November here, and then our 42. So we'll flip back, take a look. I believe the last page that I did a video with was this one, I think. I'm not sure. Or this one, or both. But this was week 40, which was the beginning of October. And all of these are always posted in my Facebook group, Weekly Memory Keeping with Annette. So if you're not part of that and you want to join in, just find that group and ask to be invited or added, and I will add you. 41, talking about my boxes that went missing that were due to go to Banff for the retreat. 6 boxes for the classes. Everything worked out, don't worry. But yes, here we go. 42, cute. 43 with our little pockets. And 44. So that's it for me. I did 3 pages in a day. It was probably a good long afternoon. But I'm all caught up now. So I'm so glad that I took the time to do it. I'm glad that you were here with me to watch and see my process. And I will see you next week in the next crafty video.